All right, I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is simply Hirelings. I'm joined with the elder Hanak here
Shalom, shalom.
in the Bay Camp. And pretty much, we were talking earlier because I was watching Elder Pastor's video that he did. The one where he was reacting to the video that the elder Yawachanan, I believe his name is, out in in Mario, England, and pretty much Apostle Tar was speaking about, or Elder Apostle Tar was speaking about Bishop Nathaniel and how he's just all about the money, and I second that emotion because back then, before we actually got on YouTube, I believe Bishop Nathaniel got on there like 2006, and Elder Pastor been known about the YouTube thing, but when YouTube first came out, it was like some bullshit. So he didn't mind putting stuff on there because it was pretty spirit hit him, and we started putting videos up on there, and Bishop Nathaniel would have maybe like a 10-minute video, and then he would have like if you want the rest of this breakdown, if you want some more information or whatever the case may be, you would have to pay for breakdowns, so pretty much when we got on there, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shah, we flooded YouTube with breakdowns. So that, cut into his money. And I was meditating on the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees and them when they had that council, where Yahweh Shai pretty much was messing up their status. He was messing up, their livelihood. And he was messing up their relationship, or it was a threat to messing up their relationship with the Romans, and they said we got to do something about this guy. And what did they do? They slandered him. They brought false accusations against him. They brought out false witnesses against him, and eventually they got him crucified. And that's pretty much what they're doing today. They're bearing false witness on us, lying on us, trying to make us look bad because they have nothing else. When someone doesn't have a rebuttal or a way to disprove what you're speaking about, the main thing they do is try to demonize you so that to try to discredit anything that you say. Did you have a precept, bro? Or you looking for something?
Yeah, I'll looking for something. Almost there.
Okay. So we got a couple of precepts we're going to go into.
I got
You got something? Okay, go ahead.
This is John 11. Let me go right. John 11 and 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles.
Mm-hmm.
If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Right. So pretty much, like right now, the only miracles we're performing is a miracle of breaking down these scriptures correctly. The way that they were intended to be broken down, the way we received it from our elders, and the way that they were meant to be broken down. Now, there were a few things that were taught back then, that over the years been tweaked, but pretty much it's the same doctrine. But in the Cornelius thing, for instance, the Cornelius thing, it was taught at one time that Cornelius was a Edomite, but he's not. He's an Israelite, and pretty much there was a discussion prior to the first split, from one west, the house of David from one west, where it was actually discussed that, that Cornelius might be an Israelite, but it quickly got quelled because it wasn't time for that to come out, because that was going to be the great topic of controversy that was going to cause, another split in the house of David, which was, which really King Mashah really wasn't a part of that, because he even spoke about, told priest Bunloya, that Apostle Tar was making him look like a baby or something like that, because they asked who's going to break down that Cornelius is an Edomite, and he jumped up, and he said he read Acts 10:1. He was of the Italian band, so he was an Edomite. And then Apostle Tar, I don't really remember every detail of the things that he said, but through the Spirit, pretty much, he was toying with him, so to speak, and but that the topic of the Cornelius thing was always an issue. It was always something that kept coming up every once in a while, because the Spirit, hold that for a minute, the Spirit wanted that controversy to come out, but it just wasn't time at the time. But for the most part, everything we teach is pretty much the same. There were certain things that weren't taught at the main school that like Daniel's 11th chapter, they really didn't go into that. Elder Pastor R went into it, and a few little other things here and there, tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it's the same thing. You got more?
No, I was good on that.
All right, so you know what? Let's just go. Salaki for the little ramble, but sometimes you got to go into that history so that you can know, why we're at the position or place where we're at today. And through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem El Shai, we're the only ones in Great Millstone. We're the only ones in affiliate camps that are in good standing, that are serious and sincere, not you fake, phony frauds. That we're the only ones. We're the only ones that's teaching, the 100% truth and the proper breakdown. A lot of these other camps, what they're doing is they have a facade of Israel. They'll teach certain things that are good, but then when they, go into, trying to break down about the so-called, about the MOTB, not being anything else but the micro C-hip, that's where they're not shedding the light, the true light on Israel, and preparing them for what's coming. But what you got?
Yeah, this is Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets.
Beautiful.
Which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Yeah, Salaka, because you see that they look the part. They look the part. They look, dignified. They have that appearance. They have the appearance of godliness, but they're denying the power thereof. Because one of the main groups out there that has that, appearance of godliness is the IUIC. They look the part. It's they look the part. They somewhat act the part. Of people that are not fully alert, they'll get taken by that, because they have that. Because see, Jake is visual. Jake likes things visual. Jake likes things. They like that eye candy. But when you really go into what they're saying, they're really putting the people back to sleep. You want to say something?
No,
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is that was it on that.
Okay.
I got Matthew 23:1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not after ye their works, for they say and do not.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like they'll tell you keep the laws, teach the law, And then the law tells you about not bearing false witness on your brother, right? But they don't uphold that. You know, and if they jump up and say that we lying, we got plenty of receipts. There's plenty of videos where these devils, these black devils, you know, called us, you know, rapists. They call us, you know, PDF files. They call us, you know, they call us bums, you know, which is not true. None of those things are true, you know, but they're keeping to what the scriptures say. So that's why Yahushua said, do as they say, because when they tell you to keep the law, yeah, we should keep the law to the best of our ability, you know, but don't do as they do, because they say and do not. You know, they're not, you know, upholding the things that they're so-called teaching. So they're not practicing what they preach. Go ahead.
Yep. It says...
You were looking for some?
Yeah, I got something else.
Bring it out, bring it out.
Yep. This is 1 and start at 6. From which some having swerved have turned aside.
Start a little above, yeah.
Yep. Verse 4 says, verse 3, it says, as I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus, when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some that they teach no other doctrine.
And that's the thing, you know, that they teach no other doctrine. And that's what a lot of these different camps are doing. You know, they're teaching, here it is, they're telling you to keep the law, but in the same breath, they're saying that you can have sex on the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. Keep the law, but you can have sex on the Sabbath. And then when you bring out the scripture in Isaiah 58, where it says specifically that if you abstain from your pleasures, then you know the Lord will delight in you. And they'll say, well, eating ice cream is a pleasure. Yeah, but eating ice cream doesn't make you unclean. Having sex makes you unclean. Because if having sex didn't make you unclean, then why would the Lord tell Moses to have the men of Israel not come at their wives for 3 days to sanctify their bodies, to sanctify themselves, to make themselves holy? Because when you have sex with a woman, sperm is unclean. That's why a woman, when she gets pregnant, you know, when she has a baby, she's unclean. Mm-hmm. If she has a male child, 40 days. If she has a female child, 80 days. You know, so eating ice cream doesn't make you unclean, but having sex makes you unclean. But they'll tell you to keep the law, but then they'll say you can have sex on the Sabbath. And those major groups teach that. You know, IUIC teaches that, ISUPK teaches that, the Sakari teach that. You know, now I don't know if Genesis, because they was a part of Sakari, I don't know if they still teach that, if they still uphold to that, or if they changed that, or if they repented of that. Go ahead.
It says, neither give ye tables and genealogies, questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do.
So whatever is in faith, that's what we're supposed to do. Let all things be done unto edification. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be edifying the people. We're supposed to be warning the people. If we're watchmen, we're supposed to warn the people, you know, of the impending dangers and the impending doom that's coming, and what they can do to protect themselves, to be safe. And one of the main things they could do to protect themselves and be safe, if they're a part of the elect, is to trust and call upon the names of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You want to say something?
No, that was literally when you were saying that came into my mind. The most important things, one of the most important things we should be pushing, is the trust in the correct, proper names, that the Apostle Elder Gabar always says, the proper names of Yahweh and Yahushua.
Right.
And to call on those names and to trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and not to take the MOTB.
Yeah.
You know? It says, now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned.
Right, faith and feigned, because some of these guys say they have faith, but they don't. You know, and that's the thing, you know, you have different levels of faith. Not every brother out there has the same amount of faith, the same level of faith as another man. But the point is, if you have faith as a mustard seed, it'll grow. You know, it takes time. It doesn't come overnight, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says, from which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling,
Yep.
desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor therefore they affirm.
Yeah, no, so nowhere of they affirm, because at the end of the day, they talking stuff and they don't know what the hell they talking about. You know, like the whole botched demonic argument of we don't have the name of the Lord. But then some of them, some of them, you know, call on the name. I guess you got to be of a certain rank to be able to call on the name. But if you're like a soldier, or if you're like an officer or something like that, you can't call on those names. We don't know the name. When you're like on that level, the lower level, the soldier or the officer, or whatever, captain, or one, you know, lower ranks, it is Yahweh, you know, know the name. So what the fuck is going on? What the fuck you guys doing over there? You're making mockery of the Lord's word. You're making mockery of the Lord's name. He's gonna deal with you fucking guys, man. Playing around with the names of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, giving uncertainty, giving an uncertain sound. The Lord don't deal with that vague shit. The Lord don't deal with that goddamn gray area shit. Straddling the fence demonic spirit. You know? And you guys got a lot to fucking pay for, man. You know, not only are you leading the flock astray, but you also, you know, not only are you leading the flock astray, but you're also, you know, setting out uncertainties out there. But you know what? Basically, what you're doing is you're a stumbling block. You're one of the biggest stumbling blocks in Israel today. IUIC, I'm talking about IUIC. You're one of the biggest stumbling blocks out there for Israel today. Because they're coming to you for answers and you're giving them vague answers. And then you push and keep the law, and you know, if you have a problem, you know, you know, we can counsel your marriage. You could only have one wife. A real man only deals with one wife. No, a real simp only deals with one wife. In our heritage, our culture, our right, our law teaches different. You know?
Yep.
Our law teaches, you want to say something?
No.
Our law teaches that you could have more than one woman. But these simps, these soy boys, you know, they want to put that American Western philosophy on Jake. You could only have one woman, brother. If you have more than one woman, that's adultery. No, it's not. It's only adultery if the woman that he's dealing with, the next woman or the extra woman he's dealing with is married to another man. So what the fuck are you guys doing over there, man? You guys are not qualified to be teachers. As much knowledge and information that you guys have and the ability to research, you're a disgrace, man. You're a disgrace to the nation of Israel. You're supposed to be these leaders. Matter of fact, give Micah 3 real quick, and you can start at the top. You're supposed to be leaders. You're supposed to know how to lead the flock and what to teach them, you know, and how to be able to conduct and lead these people. You're leading them to a fucking burning house. And that burning house is America, Babylon the Great.
Yep, this is Micah 3:1. And I said, hear, I pray you, O heads of Jacob.
Right, this message is to you leaders, the heads of Jacob.
And ye princes of the house of Yasharallah.
Go ahead.
It is not for you.
Is it not?
Yeah, is it not for you to know judgment?
Right, is it not for you to know judgment? You're supposed to know judgment. Matter of fact, hold up, we're going to come back to that. Get Matthew 23.
I got it.
And I believe it's 23.
Okay. Yep. Matthew 23:23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites.
Yeah, so the Lord called you a bunch of hypocrites. Woe unto you, destruction unto you, because you're a bunch of goddamn hypocrites. You know, you're the biggest hypocrites because you know better. You know, the scriptures in the book of James says, how's it going? It's in the book of James says, you know, if you know to do good and you don't do it, to you it will be sin. Go ahead.
It says, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin.
Right, keep the law. They pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin.
And have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
And you have omitted the weightier matters of the law. Go ahead.
Judgment, mercy, and faith.
Because you don't have the qualifications to lead out judgment. You don't have the qualification to mete out mercy. You know, here it is, you talking about keep the law, but you bearing false witness on us. You know, how the fuck does that work? How the fuck you gonna be a righteous teacher or preacher, prophet, a man of the Lord, but you're bearing false witness on other men? You know, how does that work? How the fuck does that work?
Yeah, well, that's just going back to the title, the hireling.
Yeah.
You know, that's something a hireling would do.
Yep.
Because they're not in it sincerely, right?
Beautiful. Because you're about the bag, bro. As they say out here in the Bay, the bag. You're about the bag. Go ahead.
Yep, it says, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith.
Go ahead.
These ought ye to have done.
Right, still do that. Still pay your still have judgment, mercy, and faith. Go ahead.
And not to leave the other undone.
And you still keep the law. But you guys are a bunch of fucking hypocrites. You're a bunch of fucking goons. You're a bunch of black souls. You call us black Hebrew Israelites, you're a bunch of black souls. That's what you devils are. Especially you the leadership. I feel bad for your mother. Inside joke. No, but I feel bad for the ones that, you know, that may be a part of the elect. But if you're a part of the elect, you're going to be pulled out of there. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the reason why the Lord constantly has us getting on you niggas, man. That's why the Lord constantly has us getting on you at IUIC. You demons, you so-called demon leaders. That's why the Spirit keep having us get on you, because you niggas ain't right, man. And the Lord's going to deal with every last one of you, beginning with you, Bishop Nathaniel. The Lord's going to deal with you, man. Even the dog agreed. The Lord's going to deal with you, man. You know, you don't want the Lord to raise up on you. You don't want the Lord to start really putting his screws into you. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. You ain't learned the first time? Go ahead.
It says, ye blind guides will strain at a gnat and swallow a camel.
Right, you strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Here it is, the small things, you know, you get all fucking combustiated in. You know? But the big issues, big things, you all, you know, you're a master at it. But little things like judgment and mercy and faith, you can't even handle that. You guys don't have no faith. You guys are a bunch of hirelings. You're about the bag. You ain't about the truth. You ain't about Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You're about serving your own belly. You're about serving man. You ain't about serving the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You're about serving man. You know? Whatever your master, Lord and Master and Savior, Bishop Nathaniel says, that's what you're going to follow after. Hey, well, Apostle Tar keeps saying, I'm going to let you come, Salaki. Apostle Tar keeps saying, watch what the Lord's going to do to the IUIC. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, I was just going to finish, you know, continue to keep reading. It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye make clean the outside of the cup and the platter.
Right, and that's what you do. You marching down the street, looking all regal, looking, you know, and it looks good. You know, it looks good to the untrained eye. You know, you got the matching garments. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody's, you know, walking. You got your lineups. Everybody's beard is lined up. The majority of you, some of you got that long ass hair. Some of you got them bald heads, you know, rocking that shit. You know, walking. You look like you in order. But really, when you go in there, there's nothing but a bunch of ninjas. Inside joke.
But within, they are full of extortion and excess.
Right, you're full of extortion and excess. Do you have the blue letter on that?
Yeah.
Could you look at the word extortion and excess? Because that's what you're all about, man. You're all about that money. You know, you're all about that goddamn money. And the scriptures speak about it. If you're a man of the Lord, flee from them things. You know, because those that follow that and chase after that bag fall into many hurtful lusts.
Yep, for this word extortion, pagai, it says to act of plundering, the act of plundering, robbery, plunder, spoil. And
what did the Lord do when those wicked Pharisees and them was selling in the Lord's temple? He got the kicking ass right here, over here.
Wait, come back.
He got the kicking ass. You know, he got the busting ass. He really got busy on them. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. The plunder, the spoil. the act of plundering and spoiling. So that was for extortion.
And then the excess.
Arkrasia. You good? It says want of self-control, incontinence, intemperance.
Right, you don't have any self-control. You know, like your man, you know, he got his position back. The Deacon Kanai, or Bishop Kanai, whatever the hell his title is. You know, robbing that brother, you know, the pocket. And then, you know, you pseudo-repented. And then when you pseudo-repented, that's all you're going to get. You ain't show no remorse. The only reason why you did that is because you got caught. If you wouldn't have got caught, you wouldn't have been talking that shit. You would have said nothing. You'd have just kept on going, you know? You bunch of fucking heathens. You know, you bunch of demons. You know, the Lord's going to, in the Elder Pastor said, you're a special kind of demon, especially you, Kanai. You're evil, man. You could see it all in your eyes. You're a fucking evil individual. That's why brothers called you the Baconator. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was it on that.
All right, so let's go back to Micah 3. And we can finish out there, unless, you know, you got anything else you want to go into and, you know, you want to say a few words.
Yeah, Micah
3 and 2.
3 and 2. Micah 3 and 2, it says, who hate good and love the evil.
Right, you hate the good and love the evil, but then you paint the picture out there like you guys are so benevolent and we're the evil ones. When you're bearing false witness on us, you know? We're the ones being affected or afflicted by the word you're saying, but then we're the evil ones. You're saying lies against us. And I mean, we're not being afflicted by it, but when the people talk that shit and repeat the shit that you're saying, that's not a good look. But that's all right. We'll bear it, you know, because at the end of the day, we know that the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai is going to vindicate us. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, who hate the good of the evil, who pluck off their skin from off them.
Right, and the skin represents your nationality, also represents the truth. You know, this truth is a covering. The names of Yahweh B'Shem El Shai are a covering, and you're stripping that away from Jake. You're not giving them the names. But you know what? It's all good. Because the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai got you doing that. Because you're the biggest stumbling block in Israel.
Yep.
Next to you would be vocab and them devils. But that's good. That's good. You know, we're not mad. We're just passionate about this truth. Go ahead.
And their flesh from off their bones.
Right.
Who also eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin from off them. Yep. And they break their bones and chop them in pieces as for the pot and as flesh within the cauldron.
Right, because you're not giving them the necessary, you know, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be able to stand, you know, in the day of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai that's coming, which is going to begin with the time of Jacob's trouble. You know, you're stripping that away from them, and the Lord's going to strip you. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, then shall they cry unto the Lord. We can make it right here.
Okay.
Then shall they cry unto the Lord, but he will not hear them. Mm-hmm. He will even hide his face from them at that time. Right,
because at that time you're going to want to call on the names of the Lord. You're not going to be able to, or you're going to call on them, and the Lord ain't going to listen to you. You know, he's just going to look at you as, I don't know you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. You want to make fun of my name? You want to write my name backwards? You know, you want to say you could call the Lord's name Yo Plate Yogurt and all that madness? Well, guess what? When the time comes, the Lord ain't going to hear you. He's going to shut his ears from you.
Yep. It says, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doings.
Right, and you behave yourself ill in your doings. So you're only hurting yourself. You ain't hurting nothing else. Because you're just a stumbling block. And there's many stumbling blocks in this truth. You have them that preach Yahweh Shai in sincerity, and you have them that preach Yahweh Shai in pretense. You guys preaching them in pretense. You're pretending. You're a bunch of actors, hypocrites.
Yep. Then shall they cry unto the Lord. Then shall they cry unto the Lord, but he will not hear them. He will even hide his face from them at that time, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doings.
That's right.
Thus said the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace.
Right, and you're saying peace, you know, because you at one time, now you're saying something different, but at one time, you were saying that there's going to be no Jacob's trouble. would put the mind of Jake at ease. You're not supposed to put the mind of Jake at ease. You're supposed to put the mind of Jake at alert. You know, especially in these times that we're living in. But you didn't do that. Go ahead.
And he that putteth not into their mouths, they even prepare war against him.
Right, and that's what you did to us, because we don't ride with you. You know, we're not riding with you. We're not concurring with you. We don't, you know, back your false statements. So you prepare war against us. It's a verbal war that you prepare against us. You know, and you bear the hatred towards us. We don't bear the hatred to you. You bear the hatred towards us, and your actions and your words prove that. Yahushua said that by your word you shall be justified, and by your word you shall be condemned. Go ahead.
You want to keep theme?
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah. What verse was that? 4?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was 5.
5.
Yep.
Read that 5 again.
Yep. Thus said the Lord concerning.
We'll just go around the block.
Yeah. Thus said the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry peace, and he that putteth not into their mouths, they even prepare war against him.
That was 5?
Yep.
Okay, read on.
Therefore night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision.
Right, and the Lord is going to strip you. That's why right now, Bishop Nathaniel is going erratic. You know, he's short-circuiting. You know, he's sending a whole bunch of confused messages when it comes to the doctrine, teaching you different shit. That's why you're confused in the head. You're bugged out in the head. That's why from Elder Pastor on down, we call you a bunch of zombies, because you don't have a brain to think. Here it is, this man's done told you all kinds of different things over the years, and you're still following him. Go ahead.
It shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine.
Right, because divining is when you do these things for money. And that's what you do. You talk shit about the tights, but then you still getting donations. You still getting money coming in. Go ahead.
It says, and the sun shall go down over the prophets.
Yeah, and the sun shall go down over you. You ain't going to be able to have any visions. You're not going to be able to keep up this charade. You, the different other Israelite camps that's going off, these so-called preachers in the churches. Go ahead.
And the day shall be dark over them.
Go ahead.
Then shall the seers be ashamed.
Yep.
And the diviners confounded.
Right, because when the MOTB comes out that it's the micro-C-hip, you're going to be ashamed and confounded. And your followers are going to be looking at you like, I thought you said it wasn't the micro-C-hip. You lied to us. And they might tune you up.
Yep.
That's why, you want to say something?
No.
That's why the I don't know if it was him, Bishop Nathaniel, or some members of his congregation at the time that had a dream where the people were coming at him, and I forget what they were beating him with.
Or baseball bats.
Baseball bats. They were whipping your ass with them baseball bats. Why? Because you're a false prophet. Right now you got the spirit of a false prophet on you, and unless you repent, the Lord's going to destroy you. You know, the only saving grace you have that you may be a part of the elect, and that dream that you had may come true. Because definitely the first part of it came true where the Lord stripped you of your oil. You know? And then at the end of the dream, you got the oil back. So it remains to be seen. But right now, you're treading a very dangerous path, a very dangerous rope. You know? Go ahead.
It says, yea, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of the Most High. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Verse 11.
Okay. Verse 11? You want to read verse 11?
Yeah.
It says, the hedge thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire.
Right.
And the prophets thereof divine for money.
Right, because you're a bunch of hirelings. You know, you're a bunch of hirelings. Was that in there?
Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? Mm-hmm. None evil can compass upon us.
But ain't that what Comfy said? That's when the seed to the vid came out, he said that's not going to affect them. And what happened? He got taken out by that. So you guys that's pushing that safety spirit on Jake, the Lord gonna take you out. You know, read Jeremiah the 14th chapter. All right. You want to say anything? All right. So with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time we say shalom, and watch out for these hirelings.